Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're good. Scott, can you hear us?
Scott, test, test. Scott, Scott, Scott.
Of course I hear you. Of course I hear you. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yes, I do.
On these off-the-wall filters,
Yep.
how tough is it? Do we need to put a piece of bubble around them?
That would be a question to ask somebody back yonder.
Okay, and then, I can't really tell right now because print was acting weird, but it looks like they're not very big movers. How many, you want 6 months worth here, ballpark, and then I can have it.
I'll have to go look at it.
Yeah, I can get you exact numbers of average sales per month.
Yeah, and then I mean, we've been selling them. They're hot. They're just, there's so many people have them. I don't know. Amazon probably sells a bunch of them, but I don't know. You'd have to look in QuickBooks and see what we're not moving a lot of them. I mean, a couple of months probably. Yeah, a couple of months. Where am I going to see?
Hey, Jamie, we're back.
Jamie McLeod founded the Santa Barbara Bird Sanctuary 9 years ago when she noticed there was a problem with unwanted parrots.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple days.
All right.
She began to realize many of the birds she was selling were being rehomed.
I was a breeder for more than 30 years. Amazons, macaws, cockatoos. When people typically would keep the birds 2 to 4 years, it became apparent that not everybody's cracked up to own one. They live 80 years, crunch those numbers out, and there's a lot of unwanted parrots out there.
Hi, guys.
I felt I was contributing to a problem and started focusing on rehoming all the unwanted ones.
There we go.
We currently have more than 60 birds, and we're beyond capacity. We're turning people away.
Okay, you ready for your breakfast? Let's go, girl.
People abandon them on our porch.
There you go.
They threaten to euthanize them if I don't take them. Many of the birds that we have now have been adopted out numerous times, and they come back. It's a huge problem.
Oh, these are very funny.
People don't always understand that when a bird forms a bond with you, it's actually a mate bond.
Are you ready?
They're not just part of your life, they become your life.
Stand by.
I rarely go away on vacation. They literally are my life. People will come in and they'll say, I want a bird that talks, that's quiet, and that doesn't bite, and that species has not yet been discovered.
Come on over here. Come on, come on, come on over here. Come on, come on over here. Come on here. Come on here. Come on over here. Come on here. Come on over here. Come on here. Her original owner taught her most of her vocabulary.
Everybody loves the Amazons because they sing and they talk, but nothing can bite you harder than an Amazon parrot. One day you're cuddling it, and the next minute you're missing part of your face.
Squeeze those little birdie legs. Scary bird.
Kona, who has such a wonderful vocabulary and is so animated and everybody wants to adopt her, actually removed this part of her owner's nose.
I love you, Rudy.
Once they start to hit sexual maturity, they have drastic behavioral
You're not
changes.
gonna bite me right now, are you? Come on, pretty girl. Let's go. Up, up, up. Oh, yeah, you are. Bye.
Being injured by a parrot, you can't be angry with them. If you take them into your life, that's one of the things that you need to accept. It's still a wild animal.
Yes, I got my words up too.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and I'm here with Kent Marts, and we are back on with On the Wing. And Kent, it's good to have you here. And I know that you have some more great viewer submissions that you'd like to share.
Yeah, Scott, talking about the video you just showed, I think people see fuzzy, pretty things and think that they can just become these perfect toys, and
Right.
and she made the
don't
comment, these are
understand.
still wild animals.
Yeah, they don't understand that. Yeah, especially in the case of parrots. I mean, they never become domesticated. They are always wild animals, and
Right.
so the person that runs that sanctuary in Santa Barbara, she was mentioning that that one parrot had taken off a chunk of its owner's nose at one point. I'm sure that ended their relationship. But that's in fact what the birds do. The parrots do. They mate. They go through a mating ritual. Okay, they're not becoming friends. They're not becoming. They don't think that they're like it's not like having a dog or a cat. These things are. I mean, they're really smart, but and beautiful to look at, and can work. Live with humans, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to tear into you.
They're not, they're not domesticatable in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I've seen people on YouTube with civet
Yeah.
cats, and African dogs. I mean, those animals are in no way, shape, or form able to be domesticated. There used to be a lady from Neosho, Missouri, in Sugar Creek Astronomical Society, and she had 2 pet prairie dogs. And while they were cute as buttons, they were also mean as it could be if they wanted to be.
Right.
And we talked about it, and she was always very cautious around them. And she kept them years.
We're losing your audio at times there, Kent. Not sure what's happening. Maybe something's becoming disconnected.
Paul's. It's steady on our end, Paul says. So I don't know. So anyway, can you hear me?
With some
Is everything
static,
stable
yes.
now?
It is static.
Don't know. All right. So
All right, keep on moving ahead.
let's move on then. Let's go ahead and launch the PowerPoint there, Paul, and pump it out. Oh boy. So we're hoping we have sound this time. I've provided the links to the videos for Paul to run. So Paul, go ahead and click it. There you go. You gotta use the forward button, Paul, to make it go. There you go. And the first bird we have coming up is the verdin. This is a bird, as a new bird for Carl when he got this a few months ago. It was taken at the Morton Botanical Garden in Palm Springs, California. His original, and he found it later. He also, the first one he saw was at Mission Creek Preserve near Desert Hot Springs. Go ahead and play the sound. There we go. Okay, so as you can see from the picture, and you want to go to the next picture, Paul, it's he's got, I believe, 3 of these. He calls these a lovely little bird found mostly in the southwest of Mexico. Paul, go ahead and get that picture up bigger so we can see it. It's 3.5 to 4.5 inches long, so about the size of a sparrow. Excuse me, about the size of a chickadee. It is a songbird, and of course, I don't have a mouse, so I'm going to have to use a button here. Chickadee-sized bird, slight body, moderately long tail, and small head with a tiny pointed bill. Adults are grayish birds with yellow heads. They have a small chestnut patch at the bend of their wing. And Paul, go to the next picture, would you please? Juveniles are similar but lack the yellow and chestnut colors. I think this is probably a juvenile on the screen that I'm seeing. There we go. There's the yellow head and the chestnut patch at the bend of the wing. It forages with rapid short flights, hops around among the outer branches of small trees and bushes, often hanging upside down by its feet. Insects and spiders. They are known to supplement their diet with insects and fruits, even nectar, which they sip from bird feeders. And that's one way that you can attract these to your yard if you live in their range. Here's a bird in this bird. The bird has built a spherical nest, making they use.
We're having quite a bit of audio problems at this time.
Paul says he doesn't know what's happening. It looks strong on his end.
You can barely hear Kent.
Is this any better? Is it any better? Scott, is that any better?
I cannot hear you really well.
Want to switch microphones, Paul? Switch microphones? We're going to switch microphones.
Let's try switching microphones. Audience, if you guys will bear with us for a moment here while we fix this. Thanks, guys. Maybe we have a battery that's dying or something on one of the microphones. So anyways, yeah, I've known people that have owned parrots before. We started out with this little video of parrots, and yeah, parrots can get very, very jealous. You know, they have a considerable range of emotions. So, and I've seen where a male parrot will like someone in the family, and the female parrot that lives with them regularly attack that person just out of rage and jealousy. So but be fine with everybody else in the house, except this one person. So
Okay, Scott, can you hear me any better?
it's the same problem.
Is this any
I can
better?
hear you, but it's a lot of static and it's low volume, very low volume.
Noah, what are you hearing over there, Noah? Noah's logged on to listen.
Yeah, it sounds like you're gargling with static, if that's possible.
Noah says it sounds like, and he's listening on a different, through the internet. He says it's like we're talking through a bad radio.
Exactly. Good way to describe
A
it.
good description.
Yeah, they hear me okay, but
Okay, so do we want to stop and relaunch, or what do we want to do? I think Scott.
maybe can you do this from your office?
I can.
Yeah, why don't we just have you move over to your office and you can log in from there.
Let's go. I don't know.
In the meantime, I'll talk to you guys. So we sometimes we run into some technical issues. You know, if you saw the studio and the way that we use it, yeah, it's quite a complicated setup. My setup's a lot more simple, but not as capable. So, so there's big trade-offs on all that stuff. Norm Hughes says, I have been considering a double yellow-headed Amazon or quacker parrot. So Norm, the thing to consider is maybe you want to get that from a parrot sanctuary, because you'd probably get a better deal on buying one, but you know, it may require kind of a lengthy adoption process too, because you know, they don't want to see the parrot come back in 2 or 3 years. You know, if you're not, I guess you can only find out one way if you're cut out for it or not, by actually you know, owning a parrot. So, you know, and they get very attracted, not very attractive, but very committed. You know, once they kind of imprint on you, then that's it, you know. And if you go on vacation, or if you go away, you know, the parrots, they will definitely miss you, you know. And you know, so with some parrots, it's that bind is so high maintenance that you know, if you're away for any period of time, they will self mutilate, you know, because out of depression and stuff like that. So it's something to really consider, you know, about this. So I was actually kind of shocked about it myself, you know. So, but let's see. Okay.
I'm booting up.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let me get all my screens configured. You know,
There you go. That's way better.
You know, Paul is finding ways to do more and more with, you know, and figure stuff out. And every once in a while we run into a glitch. And that's more or less what's happened here, I think.
Right.
Is that there was a glitch of some sort. And, you know, it was the same settings he's been using, you know, for all the broadcasts, and something went wonky. So let me get everything squared away. Share screen, PowerPoint, share sound, share. There we go. Okay, so.
All right. You got the stage. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, we're going to go back. So I'm just going to start over with the burden, because apparently nobody could hear.
They could. It started out kind of good, and then the static got worse and worse and worse. So
that's really weird. So the batteries are all charged up and everything else. So yeah, we're looking at the sound's not there. Hang on, let me see. Okay, this is weird. Hang on. It's not embedded the videos and the soundios. When it rains, it pours, Scott. No, when it rains, it pours, comma, Scott. It doesn't rain, it pours,
probably
Scott.
just talk about the bird, Kent.
Yeah, but listening to them is.
Yeah, of course. That's not the main part of the show. Your descriptions are.
Yeah, but I like to. I've been sitting in the backyard the last few days listening to birds and trying to identify them just by the wee sounds that they make. All right, so.
Paul Berg says, hurrah, his voice and mouth are even in sync.
Hey, it's a little victory sometimes, right?
That's right. Norm says, I have several friends with all kinds of birds, from cockatoos to macaws.
And do they bite you? Or are they nice birds?
These birds will bite you.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, they will bite. So, I used to think that there were like parrots that did bite and some that didn't bite, but that's not true. They bite. They all bite.
I mean, that's what they do. It's like I have a cat, and he'll be sitting there rubbing on you, he'll start chewing on me because
And they'll scratch you too.
he's saying, "I love you," in a cat way, in a
Cat
farm,
way.
in a barn cat farm cat way. All right, so here we go.
Hey, Kent,
Yes, Paul.
I still can run the PowerPoint.
I've got it up. You have bad static, brother. I mean, it's bad.
It's the same stuff. I don't know what's going on.
It's like, and Noah's description was pretty darn accurate.
Yeah.
It's like a bad radio. Just, it's pretty bad. So, all right. So here we go. And it still didn't enable. We may not have any sound. Paul, okay. So anyway, here we go. The Verdant, you can see up here. Oh, there's the sound. Okay, the Verdant, which we've heard. There we go. Beautiful little song. As you can see, it ranges in western half of Texas, down into Mexico, southern New Mexico, Arizona, Baja, and into eastern southern California. And obviously, as we know, birds don't respect the boundaries. This is just a geographical representation. This is a new bird he saw first at Mission Creek Preserve in near Desert Hot Springs, California. He calls it a lovely little bird. It's 3.5 to 4.5 inches. It's tiny like a chickadee. It's a songbird, moderately long tail, small head, tiny pointed bill. Adults are grayish birds with yellow heads, like we can see here in this picture. They have a small chestnut patch at the bend of their wing, which are called the lesser coverts. That's the name of those feathers. And juveniles are similar, but lack the yellow and chestnut color. I'm thinking that, let's get this picture up. There's another beautiful bird right there. They forage with rapid short flights. They hop along the branches, often hanging upside down, searching for insects and spiders. They supplement their diet with fruit and even nectar, which they sip from hummingbird feeders. So you can attract them sometimes with hummingbird feeders to your yards. They build what have been called unusual spherical nests and will make several per year. One pair in Arizona was observed building 11 nests in 1 year. They nest and forage in thorny desert scrub with scattered trees. They roost at night in these spherical nests, which provide really good insulative properties. And estimates are that by roosting in there, they are able to expend 50% less energy to stay warm in the cold desert night. Ornithologists have recognized 6 or 7 subspecies, all of which are very similar to one another, differing only slightly in plumage tone and size. 2 of these nest in the United States. The subspecies Asicarium resides in Southern California, Nevada, and Utah, southwards into Mexico. It's mostly associated with the Sonoran Desert. The subspecies Ornatus is found in New Mexico and Oklahoma, southward into Mexico, and is associated with the Chihuahuan Desert. The remaining 4 or 5 subspecies, Scott, all reside in Mexico. He found the bird, and then after finding it in the first time he found them, then in this picture I'm showing you, on a Mexican flannel bush with several of them at the Morton Botanical Gardens in Palm Springs, California. He notes that the Morton Gardens has been around since 1938, and it shares the beauty of desert plants. And as he has discovered, with lots of daily visitors to the Botanical Gardens, birds become more acclimated to the presence of humans, allowing him to get very close to the verdins and many other wings, like the white-crested sparrow and Costa's hummingbirds that we have that have not required a lot of cropping. We have not shown those birds yet. He has some short video clips of the verdin at the flannel bush. I don't have those. So let's move along. And there's another verdin right there, a nice shot, backlit shot, good highlight, but you can really see the chestnut and on the coverts in a dead plant of some sort. And you know, one thing you learn about the desert plants, they all have thorns or little pricklies because they're desert plants. All right, so a western bluebird. All we have around here are eastern bluebirds. This is a western bluebird. Let's give a listen real quick. There's a crow. There's a white-throated sparrow. Scott, I had tried to record some sounds in my backyard with my iPhone, and it just can't do it. I'm gonna have to get a better sound rig.
Oh
to
yeah,
record
like a
some
boom
sounds.
or something like that,
Yeah.
or maybe like one of those dishes.
Yeah, a dish or something to record it, because this is just,
Mhm.
I mean, you can hear it, but it's just not the quality that you want. So you can see from the map that you know, Southern California and the western and the coast of California, all the way up into Oregon, is part of their continuous range, and then so there's some breeding and micro and migration ranges as well, but they pretty well are stay around full time. Beautiful bird, much more blue and chestnut reddish than the eastern bluebirds we have here. These birds are 6.5 to 7.5 inches long, so pretty good sized birds. They're smaller than thrushes. Excuse me, western bluebirds are small thrushes that perch upright, standing erect. They're stocky, thin, straight bill, and fairly short tail. Males are shiny blue above with that rust orange extending from a vest on the breast onto the upper back, as you can see clearly in this picture. Females are a gray buff with a pale orange wash on their breast and blue tints on their wings and tail, much like their eastern bluebird family members. The throat is blue in males and gray buff in females, and the lower belly is whitish. Looks sort of grayish here until you get down the bottom and maybe see some white there. They're very social birds, usually feeding in flocks during the non-breeding season. They hunt for terrestrial insects by dropping to the ground from a low perch, which frankly makes them easy pickings for feral cats or house cats that are out in bluebird territory. They hunt for terrestrial insects. Western bluebirds also frequently feed on berries and trees, and they rely on trees both for nesting cavities and hunting perches, and also perches on fences and bluebirds. Now, if they're a cavity nester, Scott, that doesn't look like a woodpecker, does it?
No.
So the issue becomes, if they can't peck their holes out, what do they have to do? They have to rely on other cavity nesters like woodpeckers to create the nesting cavities for
Oh,
them.
wow. And so what if the woodpecker wants to go back home to their old nest?
I don't know if they abandon them or what, but you know, I guess there's maybe a peck off there. But you can erect bluebird boxes designed in the correct way, this correctly sized hole, to invite them into your yard. You need a partially wooded yard to put up the boxes. And the suggestion is to put them up well before breeding season, which has already started. And you should always attach a guard to keep predators from raiding eggs and the young. You can find designs for Bluebird boxes out there on the internet, and for guards as well. I know Heath here has been buying untreated cedar planks for fencing and making some Bluebird boxes for his house.
That's
he uses the untreated, so none of the treatments leach out and could harm the birds. But there's plans out there where you eat one board will make one nest box. So they're found in open woodlots, coniferous and deciduous forests. They find backyards, burned areas, farmland, from the sea all the way up to the tall mountains as a favorable habitat. They're insectivores in the summer, and you can attract them by offering mealworms on feeder trays. So interesting there. Here's an interesting thing I learned. Genetics studies show that about half of nests had young that were not fathered by the defending male. So while you might think the defending male is the only one that's breeding the birds, the reality is the half of the chicks get hatched are by not the defending male, and as many as 19% of the young in the nests were fathered outside the pair bond. They look gentle, Scott, that, just look at them this beautiful, you think they're gentle, but during breeding season, they have territorial battles that get very heated. They grab each other's legs, tumble around on the ground, and pin their opponents to the ground and stand over them, pecking at them. Very interesting.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of hawks and eagles, lock talons and in a mating ritual and fall to the ground. Pretty interesting to see. So
there's also you were talking about that they were cavity nesters. Apparently, they compete with some other birds for these cavities. Okay,
I'm sure they do.
Right, and so I guess house sparrows have been known to attack these birds.
Correct.
To get their nesting sites.
And that was back in this in the summer last summer. Heath, who works in quality control, a former customer service guy, was battling and recording, or not battling, was recording the battles a Bluebird pair had in it with house sparrows who were attempting to take over or get around their nest box. And when they showed up, the pairs would be after them, just chasing them all over the place and getting after them. So interesting that they would do that. And because of that cavity issue, that's why dead trees are a valuable commodity to keep around on your property. I have bought a piece of property and put a road in, and the only place I could put a road in involved me knocking over a dead tree. And it was sandwiched between some really big trees and a utility easement. And it was the only place I could put it. And there was no way to get around that tree. So, it was a great cavity nester tree. Lots of birds used it. I really felt bad about doing it, but I needed a driveway. So, what's next here? There's the Bluebird. We listened to it. The white winged dove. Here we go. The white winged dove is made famous, and Paul had this 6-second clip called up. People didn't know, a lot of people didn't know about the white winged dove, and I've never seen one, but I've heard about it. Why, Scott? Think back to the 1980s, Scott. Think back. Hear it in your mind. Think back. Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17. Just like the white winged dove sings baby, coo, baby, coo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which we had that clip that we were going to play, but, obviously technical difficulties kept me from hearing one of my favorite all-time singers, Miss Stevie Nicks. The song went to number 11 on the Billboard charts. So these birds are the size of a robin. and they're plump, square-tailed, long, thin bills and small head. They're smaller than a Eurasian collared dove, but larger than a mourning dove. So Eurasian collared doves are big things. They're like bombers in the bird world. They have obviously a white wing on the edge. They're generally the standard dove brown or tan with a dark line on the cheek. A white stripe on the edge of the folded wings becomes very visible when the birds take flight, and they have a bright flashing in the middle of a dark wing. So there's a light patch under their wings. The tail is tipped in white and set off with black stripes with gray on the underside. Their faces are ornately marked with a black streak on the cheek and blue skin around the red eye. And you can see all that in this picture. You can see that blue cheek running from the bill back and around the eye, and that bright red eye with the black pupil or iris is very apparent. Carl got this photo of the white winged dove at the Big Morongo Canyon Preserve in California. Let's listen to the call of the white winged dove. I love listening to doves call back and forth to each other. And this sounds like, to me, almost like there's a woodpecker call that goes, "Who cooks for you?" It almost sounds like that, but it's a coo, not a hoot. Who cooks for you? So cool when they call back and forth to each other.
I think it's saying Stevie Nicks is cool.
Stevie Nicks, one of the greatest voices out there. Some people don't like her voice, but she just has that raspy, I don't know, too much whiskey.
You don't like her voice? Then they're not allowed to watch the show. I'm sorry.
Too much whiskey. I've heard people say it's too much whiskey and cigarettes. I'm going, oh, that's a great voice on Miss Stevie Nicks. So, if you've never listened to the Rumors album cover to cover, you should do that. It's a wondrous tour, or you're going to hate it, one or the other. So you can see their range is into Southern California, along the bottom of New Mexico, Arizona, into Texas, down into Mexico, and along the Gulf Coast, and all the way down into the Caribbean islands of Cuba, Hispaniola, and down into Guatemala and environs to the south. I don't know if I said this or not, but this was taken at the Big Morongo Canyon Preserve in California. So they're a bird of desert thickets, but the white-winged dove has become a common sight in cities and towns across the southern U.S. It's very easy to spot because of the neat crescents on their wings. In flight, these subdued crescents become flashes of white with stripes worthy of the bird's common name, the white-winged dove. As we said, they have a very colorful face. They forage on grains, waste grains, and seeds on the ground, or take to trees, and are known to eat berries happily. In the Sonoran Desert, they eat many saguaro cactus fruits. They gather in huge flocks for trips between roosting and foraging areas, as well as during migration. Their long hooting, hoo, 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 that was terrible, calls are an increasingly common sound in the southern United States. It sounds to me like they're saying, like the hoot owls around here say, who cooks for you? So they're all over the Southwest. They will easily visit yards, especially if you have bird bath and feeders. They wander widely and irregularly across the continent after the breeding season ends. White-winged doves, mostly resident in the Southwest, although its range is expanding and individuals have been found far away from the Southwest, Alaska, Ontario, Maine, Newfoundland have all documented the white winged dove. I have not seen one. I'm going to start looking more for them, but I generally look at doves when I see them. Like other doves and pigeons, they have unusual abilities. And here's one I did not know. They can suck and swallow water without moving their heads. So instead of having to get in their bill and throw their head back, they can suck up water and swallow. And they also use a secretion in the esophagus known as the crop milk to feed nestlings. So they actually can produce
Crop milk?
crop milk. So they have a secretion that's effectively milk that comes out of a gland in their throat, and they can produce this milk. And both parents can do this, and they oftentimes consume snails and bone fragments to help their bodies create the nutritious fluid that they feed their chicks. I learn something all the time on this. So that's the white-winged dove. And sadly, we can't play the song in its entirety or the video. We'll get blocked from rebroadcast unless we did 6 seconds, and we're not gonna push that envelope. So moving along, we're going to go to the common yellow throat. We've had this bird here before that last summer, but we're going to do it again. The bird, we'll just stay on that picture. Beautiful bird. 4.3 to 5 inches long, a small bird, small songbird, beautiful black mask, right? Bright yellow below with that sharp black face mask, and they have olive underparts. A thin whitish line sets off the black mask from the head and neck. And let's see, common yellowthroats spend much of their time sulking low to the ground in dense thickets and fields, searching for small insects, spiders, and males sing a very distinctive song. Here we go.
How cute.
There was a blue jay. You would have to study long and hard to be able to memorize all these. So as you can see, their breeding ranges all the way up into Canada, in the southern provinces across the United States. They are here now in Northwest Arkansas. I've been seeing pictures of them. So the common yellowthroat, this was shot in the San Jacinto Wildlife Preserve in California. They live in open areas with thick, low vegetation, ranging from marshes to grasslands and open forests. During migration, they use even a broader range of habitat and can be found in backyards and dense forests. Your yard can attract common yellowthroats if it's fairly large. Their territories are sometimes as small as half an acre. So, if you've got a 100-foot, an acre is 208 feet square. So if you've got a 100 by 100 area, you've got half an acre. It has to feature, however, dense, tangled, low-growing grass and other vegetation. Male normally have one mate in his territory during the breeding season. However, a female's mating call often attracts other males, and she may mate with them behind her mate's back. The common yellowthroat often falls prey to carnivorous birds, such as merlins, and loggerhead shrikes. And Scott, I don't know if you remember or not, we had a loggerhead shrike. Their common nickname is the murder bird, or the butcher bird. Murder bird or the butcher bird, because they butcher other birds. They have other unexpected predators as well. They've been documented to be eaten by Chuck's whippoorwills and has even been found in the stomach of largemouth bass. So, you know, every bird, Scott,
Man, it's a
gets eaten.
bird world,
Every bird gets eaten by something. There's another great
or
picture.
bass eat bird world.
Bass eat birds world. So I want to talk about birdcast for just a wee bit here as we wrap up.
Okay.
We talked about birdcast in the fall and how they use Doppler weather radar to track migrations of birds. This is the prediction for tonight in the United States. So you can see that there's going to be medium numbers of birds migrating tonight in Southern California up the West Coast, and a hot spot in Georgia and the Carolinas. If you look, there's these white circles on here. These white circles show areas of rain, and weirdly, black means very low to no migration. So, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, almost no migration going on right now.
But isn't that still that area where we're seeing all that black? Isn't that still at some part of the year a major migration path?
Yeah, let's just see what happens. Time one day sometimes makes a big difference, doesn't it? And there we go. You can see things are heating up in Arizona and South Carolina, Southern California, and there's a big migration pattern happening, warming up. Not huge, but 37 million birds predicted up here in the DACs, NODAC and SODAC, North Dakota and South Dakota. And this is tomorrow night. And now let's see what happens on April the 9th. Let's just look at that and look at that.
All right, so hold that. I'm going
Yep.
and stop sharing because I'm going to show you something else. Okay.
Are you going to show the?
I'm going to share something here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know
Okay.
what to share.
All right. So this map right here, okay, that I'm sharing. This one right here shows the impact, the Chixley Lab.
Yeah,
impact
good luck,
site.
Scott.
Okay.
Thank you for trying, Scott.
Thank you very much. That's right. And okay, so you can see this Western Interior Seaway. Now, this was from millions of years ago. Okay, but in looking at a lot of the migratory paths, you can see where this water is. Okay, now this water today is below the ground. Okay. You can see where it goes through. You can see where it goes through even the Panhandle of Texas, the Oklahoma Panhandle and stuff. I was watching a documentary about this subsurface water and how farmers have used it. Okay, where farmers were lured out into this area. Okay, at one point because it was cheap land. They could often get this, when it all started, you could get the land practically for free, okay, or very, very low money, and they farmed it. And so they sucked the water out of there. But this, because they had used up most of the subsurface water, a lot of that underwater, subterranean water is now gone or very low. When I was a kid, I have mentioned on various shows that I used to live on a farm. I used to work with my dad, and we would use irrigation equipment to get water out of the ground and to water the wheat fields. And there was tons of wheat fields out in that area. I found lots of fossils. Okay, at that time as a kid, because they'd dig these big irrigation pits, and we found like saber-toothed tiger fangs, stuff like that. Okay, that was fossilized and down there. So there's just really cool stuff. It makes me wonder if some of this interior seaway was actually created by asteroid impacts. This whole article right here, and I'll post this article. This is a BBC article about the fact that they found found a dinosaur with proof of an asteroid impact that killed it. So
I saw this last night. I didn't have time to read it, so I saw this come out last night.
Fascinating, a really fascinating read, and kind of connects all of this. That photograph right there is of a fossil of a dinosaur leg with
Leg.
skin, with the skin. Okay, it's just amazing what they found. There is a photograph of a embryo
embryo.
inside of its egg. Okay, well that's fine. But there was another one where they showed, maybe it wasn't on this article, but it was like a turtle, a fossilized turtle shell that was smashed by the meteorite or something. So just, they're finding some amazing stuff. And so all
Well,
related to stuff in space.
So let me share this. This is the live migration map compiled. Actually, it's being compiled right now. This says April the 7th. We can see.
So, and the dinosaurs.
This is April the 6th.
Are the birds, right? So
Yeah.
today.
So this is a map that starts from the east going west to the United States and shows, a time function. So let's let this start over. So now this is April the 7th at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning on east, 9 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock in the Eastern time zone is 5 o'clock in the Pacific time zone. And so you can see, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the migration is starting to cool off. And as the day goes on, nothing. And then here comes, you're getting ready to see the sunset line is the red line. Here we go, there's sunset. Watch what happens after sunset and how it heats up and causes migrations to happen. And then as the yellow line is getting ready to start coming across is the sunrise line. And you can see how things just shut down right at sunrise and cools off again. Truly amazing, Scott, what they can see. They can count
Migrations
birds
at night. Yeah, you've mentioned it before.
Yeah, it's truly amazing what they can do and see with Doppler radar. So anyway, thought that was interesting. And there we go.
And there we are.
That's
right.
the show. What comments do we have out there, Scott?
Well, Carl Bernhardt says we have about 100 cedar waxwings in his pecan tree last weekend. Now only a few hanging around. Maybe they were migrating. I don't know. We talked a little bit about songs about birds. There's lots of songs about birds. So probably in all cultures, I would imagine. I pointed out that the Beatles had two popular songs. One of them was Bluebird, one was Blackbird. It makes me think that perhaps that Paul McCartney is interested in bird watching. And who couldn't be? I mean, lots of people saying hello to each other. They're hanging out here. And Norm Hughes was talking about, we were talking about parrots and keeping parrots. And Norm Hughes says he used to feed his birds lots of vegetables, an occasional shredded pork chop, popcorn, and fresh sprouted bird seed, on and on. And I know parrots will eat also chicken.
Live and dead, I suspect.
I don't know about that, but I don't think that parrots are carnivores, but they'll definitely eat the meat.
They'll eat the meat.
Yeah.
If you're hungry, you'll eat a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's probably true.
If you're hungry enough. So
yeah. I don't think it's a matter of being hungry enough. I think it's whatever's served, so I don't know. But there is things that parrots will not eat, and they'll just ignore it. So
well, anyway.
Jim's Astro's asking you a question. Why do robins keep flying into my windows?
Because either they can't see them, or they see a reflection that they think is a tree, or they're attacking it because
Another bird.
another bird. Those are the three reasons.
Hmm.
And there's, some things out there that you can put on your windows that theoretically will make the birds see that there's something there and not fly into them. It's a very sad thing when it happens, but it is what it is. We affect the environment much more than we realize. A simple window can be,
Yeah.
tough on birds.
Yeah, you're right. How to prevent bird strikes. That's what they call them. Stop birds flying into windows. It's on Amazon. Let's see. Oh, okay. So here, I'll share this link. There is a fix.
There is a fix.
There you go. All available from Amazon at a very low price. So
Yep.
they're like little stickers, like prism decals.
Send that link to Noah, and Paul, so we can do it on the Amazon live broadcast.
Sure.
Put those in the carousel. Yes,
Absolutely.
indeedy. Yes, indeed. So,
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to run off. It is my wedding anniversary today. Yay!
oh yeah, you and I.
Yeah, so I'm going to celebrate that with the wife and have a good time tonight. So, I will not be here tomorrow. So, Paul will have to operate the show. So we'll have him work on his audio system. But on any account, thank you everybody for watching. You guys have a great weekend. I won't see you tomorrow, as I mentioned, and I will be back on Monday with Dr. Barth on How Do You Know? And then we've got the 90th Global Star Party. So
Incredible.
I just confirmed that, I still have to get a written confirmation, but someone that will be joining our show, if not next Global Star Party, perhaps the following, will be David Steinfeld from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Ooh.
This guy's really doing some interesting work. We're getting ready to go back to the moon. Now, the last time I was at and took a private tour of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, they were melting lunar soil, real lunar soil, into bricks.
Wow.
Okay. Now they were making little tiny bricks, but they're going to make big bricks on the moon to build a habitat that will protect moon colonists from radiation. So the lunar soil itself will absorb the radiation, harmful rays that would otherwise really compromise people living there. So Harold says, "Happy birthday! Have a great." It's not my birthday; it's my wedding anniversary. A little bit different. So anyhow, but not too much different. So. So anyways, thanks a lot, guys. And it's great to have you follow us and to chat with us. And we will be back tomorrow. Take care.
Bye, everybody.